Welcome to the Women's Empowerment Forum. My name is Hemal Patni and I am the chair for the China Women's Committee. Truly honored to have you all here. We have a wonderful slew of programs planned for you. We've got 3 sessions, amazing women speakers that will inspire you and give you a lot of things to think about. I truly appreciate you all being here. Please calm down and move forward. I request everyone to move forward. Thank you. This is the QR code for our Women's Committee WhatsApp group. I request all of you to scan the QR code and join our community. Be part of our community. There's multiple things you can do. We would love to have your feedback. We want to hear from you, so please feel free to send us all your recommendations via the WhatsApp community. First off, of the 3 sessions that we have is a amazing fireside chat that I want to have all of you please put your hands together to welcome our first guest speaker, Meghna Shah. Meghna is somebody that has worked in the field of cardiac surgical operating rooms for many, many years of her professional career. More recently, she works in the federal government helping veterans and their families live just better lives. Other than that, she is a mom of 2 teenagers and somebody that over the course of her spiritual and professional journey has inspired a lot of people with her public speaking. Truly honored to have you here, Meghna. Thank you so much.
Thank you everyone. Thank you, Hemal. So yes, looking forward and thank you, China, for having me here. So right now, as we all know, we're going to have a fireside chat where I'm going to be speaking with none other than the remarkable Judge Leela Bar. So I'm going to introduce a little bit about her and then we'll talk more when we do the chat. So Judge Leela Bar is a true embodiment of perseverance, purpose, and is someone who has really, gone ahead and led her life from, as she says in her own words, being a babysitter to a judge. Wow! I was like amazed when I first heard about that, and I'm like, yeah, we all have gone through that. But this time, we'd love to know how and what happened and what was the journey. Was born in India, she immigrated to the United States and boldly reinvented her career in her 40s, transitioning from science to law. Her journey from a research professional to a respected voice on the bench is a powerful testament of the American dream. And to the courage it takes to start over, break barriers, and lead with integrity. Now, amongst her many accolades, a few of the first that I would like to mention here are: she is the first woman of South Asian origin to be elected as a board member of the COB Board of Elections in 2018. She is the first woman of Indian descent to be appointed in the Judicial Nominating Commission in 2019. And she is the first woman of Indian descent to be appointed by Georgia Governor Brian Kemp in 2020 as an appellate judge and director of the Georgia State Board of Workers' Compensation, joining along with Chairman Benjamin Wilson and Judge Frank McKay. So guys, have you ever heard a judge who is first a woman, second Indian woman? Big applause for that, I feel like, yes. So, and again, right now in July 2024, Brian Kemp, who is the governor of Georgia, has reappointed her for another 4 years term to continue in this position. So this is a clear reflection of her dedication and expertise. So please welcome Judge Meera Bal here on stage.
Well, while they fix the mic, Jai Janendra, Namaste everyone, and good afternoon. So as you heard, my name is Meera Bal, and I'm from Atlanta, Georgia. So I'm looking forward to talking to you, answering any questions, recounting my journey. So I will let Meghna ask me the questions, and I'm here to answer anything I can from the audience as well. And it's an honor to be amongst yourself. Thank you.
All right, so let's begin the journey. Going back to time machine, Meeraji. So let's begin with your move from India to here.
So I was born and raised in India, like you just heard, and raised in a very low middle class family when my dad used to be a clerk in the railway, when my mom got married at age 18. And so I was raised in India, and later on my mom and dad joined business, and of course the life changed. So then by the time I grew up, very affluent, just like most of us in India, never worked, never picked up a finger, our planes and chauffeur driven, never cooked. Well, wonderful life I was leading when at age 21, I got married to my British husband. He's Indian by descent but raised in England. And then I moved to America in 1979.
Okay, so now we are here in the land of opportunity. So now what happens next?
So I had heard before coming to US that, oh, so the life will be wonderful, this kind of car and that kind of house, and wow, I was going to live the American dream. And so of course we landed. Culture shock was not as much as because I was raised in a very, like I said, that modern day India then, whatever before 79 modern day was. But coming here, I just saw everybody living the life of luxury, most of my friends, everybody. But I came to a family of 9, meaning my husband is youngest of 9 children. I'm the youngest of that family, Bal family. And I came from a family where my brother is 16 years younger than I am. So he was only 5 and I was 16 when I got married. So here I am trying to see what are we doing. We are a partner in a hotel that our father-in-law put some money in for us. And we started business in Orlando, Florida, owning a hotel. So I was living just fun life, swimming pools, living at the hotel. It was fun for 1 year until the partnership just fell apart. Brothers just didn't get along, and then real life set in, where I did not know where now the grocery was going to come from, because we lived every week paycheck was coming. But then because of the differences, family differences, the monies that were put in for us were not given to us at all. So here both of us stood by one day by the bay and thinking, what next?
Oh wow, I can imagine, like, having immigrated, a lot of us would be, when you come here, you really have nothing. I mean, you might come here with the fact that you want to either learn, you come after marriage, it is a big change. But for you, I think even after that change, there was a bigger change of not actually anticipating what would happen. And now you are here where you had nothing, literally nothing.
Literally nothing. No house, no, because we were living at the hotel itself.
Right.
So now hotel is sold, don't have a house. So one of my brother-in-laws, we stayed with them for a few weeks. But how long can you stay with relatives as well when you're not earning anything? So then we decided that we will move to Canada because my husband was a Canadian citizen as well. So those days of immigration and some things were very different than what you see today. So I quickly got my Canadian landed immigrant status with him, so we moved there. Why? Because our status here, my brother-in-law had filed for us. So while we were in our business, we were not working, visa was valid, visitor visa for 1 year, 6 months and 6 months. Then we didn't have anything. So we needed to leave the country to make sure that we stayed legal wherever we are, so we went to Canada. And that's where our son was born, which is later on, 2.5 years. But now you ask me, what did you do there? Well, same thing, what do we do? So he got a job as a front desk clerk at a hotel. And then I'm thinking, I'm educated from India. I had BS in chemistry and biology, masters in English, BEd, psychology. So why can't I get a job? So I started filling out applications right, left, and center. Nobody's giving me a job. First thing they ask, do you have any work experience? I said, I've never worked in my life. I don't even know typewriting. And I shed tears in the sense that that's not the life I envisioned that I'm coming to after being educated. So I was just really very depressed down that time. And one of our neighbors, she had 2 kids, and she asked me, Namita, I remember, she said, Meera, you're home, can you do babysitting? Okay, for a split second I'm thinking, is that how my parents raised me to be a babysitter? But the integrity, because I did not want to call my parents and say, oh, I don't have money, because I know my dad would have sent money like right away. So I did not say anything. I said, sure. So I babysat 3-month-old and her 2-year-old brother. So then I thought, okay, let me rent a typewriter, because everybody's asking me, do you have any work experience or any typing skills? So I rented a typewriter and then I learned typing. So for 8 months I did babysitting, and after 8 months I applied for my job, and I got hired at a Toyota dealership as a receptionist. How proud I was at the time that I'm a receptionist from a babysitter.
And of course, I mean, no job is little, I can say that. I can absolutely, you can do that also. But at the same time, when you have come here and you have been wanting to aspire to do more, and now, somehow you have just been slapped down to the floor. So to get up and to learn a skill which you didn't have, and then to continue with what opportunity came is something which is resilience, we all know. And that is a true demonstration of that you did. So great. So now how does your life move forward?
So when our son was born in 1983 in Canada, and he tells me even today, he's 42 now, and he'll tell me, Mom, you ruined my chances of becoming a US president. I said, I don't know if you want to do that. So he's a physician, interventional radiologist in New York, so I said, you're serving community better that way. So we moved to Birmingham after our green card was approved. We came back to Birmingham, Alabama, and then again another hotel with my brother-in-law that we got along very well. And so, of course, life is going fine. Our son is 1 year old, and friends are asking, well, what have you done there? Do you want a job? And I said, I would like a job, of course, because needed to again, I was better off being a receptionist. I was earning better. So I said, I can do like grocery store cashier or something. And then they said, but why? What's your education? So I told them, this is Dr. Walia, my very close friend. And he said, well, why don't you do research? Your science background, do research. I said, what's that? We'd have never heard of it. He took me to his lab, alcoholism research, he did PhD. And I spent about 6-8 hours there, watching the receptionist do, the research specialist do the job. Then next day there was an opening, pulmonary department at UAB. And he said, why don't you apply for that job? And I said, oh, but I have no experience. He said, well, just say that you worked at Dr. Walia's lab for 6 months. So I went for the interview. I sat in front of that doctor who asked me what my background was and where did I work? And I said, well, Dr. Jackson, I worked 8 hours in Dr. Walia's lab. Just like, I just
that is the Jain philosophy of Satya, see?
Satya, because I just couldn't. I thought, what if he asked me questions that I don't know? But I said, trust me, I am a fast learner. I will learn fast, I promise you that. Looked him into his eyes. he trusted me. And hence my journey started now from babysitter to a receptionist, now to researcher, which was a big jump, and I was very, very happy, at least that.
Awesome. This just reflects one of our philosophies, and you're right. Lie might have gotten you to a point, but not to where you are now. So absolutely great undertaking that you always have to speak the truth. And if there is, God willing, a way, it will come through with your truth. So now I know you are at a position of a researcher in Alabama, and then now you're moving to the reputable Emory University as a researcher.
Yes.
So what brought you there?
So my husband was not very happy in Birmingham, Alabama, because he had a culture shock from Birmingham, England to Birmingham, Alabama. So he couldn't wait to get out of there, even though I have such wonderful roots there with my family friends who are still friends. So, but I thought, fine, we can move to Atlanta. And to this date, he says the best thing that came from Birmingham was I-20. It's the highway that comes to Atlanta. So
Yes, I can vouch for that. I'm from Atlanta too.
we moved to Atlanta in 1989. So our son was 6 years old, and we had a business there also. Besides the hotel business, we had office supplies business. So again, he just wasn't happy, and we moved, and I got transferred to Emory University Dermatology Department from there to UAB. So again, very prestigious university, great job. It started off with Research Specialist 1, 2, and then 3. So then you reach your pinnacle, so to speak, in that, unless you further go to PhD and be a research fellow. But at that time, so Research Specialist 1 is when I started at Emory in 1989. And so then...
Oh wow, so now this is first decade over as we see how she has moved from where she came from India till now she's at the reputable Emory University in Atlanta, where she has a wonderful job. She's progressing in her job. So now I see in your journey a big turn. And I see that now you're in your 40s and you have now thought of just making a 360-degree turn and going to law. So now what motivated you to pursue law at this age? And please tell me how your journey unfolded from the initial idea to making it a reality.
So at that time, just having moved to Atlanta in 1989, so God tested us again. We had a near fatal car accident in 1990. And it is such a miracle that I'm here today, and my son and my husband, that 3 of us survived, that it could have been the end of life. It was that bad. So my face was paralyzed, broken, fracture, multiple fractures in the body. From that car, our son came scratchless. The car twice, 3 times it tilted over. So you talk about some faith, and even if there was one thing I needed to thank God, is that my son came scratchless from that. Isn't that a miracle? I was on bedridden for 6 months. My husband had more superficial injuries, so he recovered after 3 weeks. So another thing I must tell you is that I know America has ups and downs and positive negatives, but the value of life. We were flown from where the accident site was to Nashville by air ambulance. They did not know we have insurance or not, but the fact that we were there. And my mom and dad always say that, this country has given you life, and you will give your life for this country if ever it's needed. That's how they respected us. And 6 months in bed, my mom flew right away from India to help me out. 6 months on bed, I reflected, what if life was taken away? What's there to talk about? What have I done? 6 months was a long time for me to inner reflections, day in, day out. What do I want to do? Because I still hadn't reached, and I'll tell you later on that, we all wonder, I want this house, then I'll be very happy. If I drive this car, I'll be very happy. We always, you can say our happiness is aligned with our material things. So of course I still have that desire, because because that American dream was not fulfilled yet. So I thought, okay, well, further studies, because I was only 21 when I got married. I wanted to study more. What am I going to do? So I sought people's advice, and then they said, oh, well, you have science background, why don't you go to medical school? I'm like, ooh, that's many, many years. And my son by then wanted to be a doctor because he saw us being transported from there and with, blood everywhere, and he then decided, 6 years old, I want to be a doctor when I grow up. So I knew that, and he's growing up now with that mind. I said, well, both of us cannot afford the medical field, and then it's just journey is so grave that I cannot do it. What can I do? I remember watching these judge shows. So I told my husband, I said, I want to be a judge. And he said, go back to sleep, you got to be a lawyer first.
Yes, of course, a medical research professional in the middle of the night saying, I want to become a judge.
So when I thought of that after, more and more thinking, and then I'm thinking, and I had a lot of time, like I said, to read the things. So the 3 C's that I always, somewhere it said, you must make the choice to take a chance if you want anything in life to change. So that kind of, I said, well, 3 C's. So I have to make a choice to take the chance. What chances? First of all, oh my gosh, I'll have to speak in front of those people, law school, the accent, are they going to even understand me, and various things. So first was to get into law school, never mind anything else, but these were the thoughts going through my mind. So that voice that inside tells you, no, it's not, no, you cannot do it, no. But I was so determined that I just let that voice drown in my determination that I know I can do this. And I told my husband, as long as you are with me, and I will do it. Many friends also, so many lawyers, like bouquet, like that kind of thing, like lawyers. So I thought, I don't care, because I want to be a judge. So to be a judge, I have to be a lawyer first. I did not listen to it. So then, of course, the journey started where I had to, my Indian degrees had to be accredited to the US. Oh, so I have to take English exam, math, science, biology again. So they said, well, because the degrees have to be, okay, fine. So I went to Georgia State, political science courses. English, of course, was no problem. 100 out of 100, I passed that. But then science, math. So it was grueling. So after my mom left and I recovered fully, it took me years to just kind of think where, what, mentors, And then I'm thinking, my mentor, my own mother, when she was only 19, she had me. And my dad was a clerk at the railway station. So she wanted to study more. So my dad taught her, she did B.Ed, bachelor's, B.Ed, and master's in English.
Oh, wow.
So, and then my mama brought me, my mommy raised me from age 40 days old because mom wanted to study. So I was raised by mama and mommy for 5 years while my mom went to school and became a school teacher and then school principal. And then, of course, they joined my mama's business and the life changed. So then I'm thinking, well, what other mentors do I need? My own mother. If she can do it, I can do it. So from there, that mentor was always in my heart and mind. So fast forward, I did all that. When got into law school, my son was now in high school by then.
So yeah, now I'm thinking as we see the 2 students in the house. Of course, and so now, we can see that you being in a law school. So what were the most significant obstacles that you faced?
So some obstacles were that, first of all, now comes the public speaking part of it. Because in law school and schools here, the younger generation here probably doesn't even think twice because they're born, raised here. Here we are, amongst 80 students, I'm the only Indian American there. And when professors come, first thing, Meera Ball, my name, and I would just freeze, and now I have to speak. So Miss Ball, let's discuss this case. What were the issues and what I wanted to sink in the floor and say, please don't make me talk, but I did. I had to overcome. Again, it's all inside us. I'm not here actually today to say or celebrate my accomplishments. If my story can inspire anyone to say, we can do this. Generally, women are, okay, shaadi ho gayi, ab to kuch nahi. So, I was 42 by the way when I took my LSAT. And, so imagine at that time. So I did all that, and then, of course, that was my biggest fear to speak. And then I thought, I'll make it a strength. So when I became friends with other people, bringing Indian food to college, and so I became, in that first semester, top 10%. So that confidence came because I can write well, I can read. Okay, if I don't speak like them, so what? I didn't care. So
That is a very good point. You said that you didn't care, at the same time it didn't bother you. Because yes, being from a different country, it does come up sometimes when you don't understand the culture here. A lot of times we have our colleagues, we are all friends, but we don't follow a lot of things that they follow. And of course, the accent is always there. Sometimes we try to mimic them, we end up even worse. So I feel we should just try to say the way we are. Eventually, I think your work, your hard work does pay off. And maybe that's what happened. Of course, there is cultural diversity, but at the same time, it's within you, you continue to be who you are, and if you are genuine, hardworking, it does pay off. So I'm sure that would have happened with you, and you continued. So now, you are a lawyer, you have become a lawyer, and now you have a great firm, you even own the firm, so the next 10 years you bring like a lot of business, and you are one of the most renowned lawyers in Georgia, in Atlanta. So now from here, you are now appointed as the appellate judge by the governor. So tell us a little bit about that.
So initially, obviously, first you have to be a lawyer before you can be a judge. So I had to explore now further. After 4 years of college, evening classes, daytime full job. Now you ask, why couldn't you leave the job and go full-time school? Well, because my son's tuition was free because I was at Emory for 18 years. So his tuition was free. So he got admission to Emory undergrad, so I had to stay. So daytime, full-time job, evening classes. So my son and I used to cry on each other's shoulders. Mom, you think you have work? What do you about me? I said, Sumit, you have work? I have full-time job. I hardly sleep 2 hours. So we used to cry on each other's shoulder because law was not easy. It was grueling journey. But again, we encouraged each other, and here 4 years later, he graduated Emory, I passed the bar, and we both exited Emory. So during this time, I even went and did internship. You would think, when did you have time for internship? Because there was a time between law school ending and bar exam. So 3 months I did an internship with now my used to be my partner, Bonnie Yoon, immigration law. So as soon as I passed the bar, my first phone call came. Hey Neera, are you looking for a job? Counsel? Oh my gosh, to hear that word counsel, I'm a lawyer now. So I said, yes. I said, but give me couple of months to at least relax because I'm so exhausted. Oh no, H1B season, March, we need to. So I started the job next day. I left Emory, and then January 2nd of 2005, I became a lawyer with that law firm practicing immigration. In 1 year and a half, they made me a partner because I had done so much of networking already, and everybody, oh, did you hear Neera's a lawyer now? Arey wo immigration lawyer ban gayi, arey wo. So the business started coming, business started pouring in. I was made a partner within 1.5 years. I worked so hard, and the one thing we all here have in us that we can instill in our kids as well is hard work. Work hard and it will pay off. So work hard, 6 o'clock I was in my firm, 24/7 answering phone calls, and that was such a fulfilling experience beside the money pouring in. I'll be very honest, I did so well because if money is not the object, the service is. Through my service, Then it poured. So I became a partner within a year and a half. Then in 2009, I bought the law firm. And then I ran it as Irabal and Associates for 10 years, 10 employees, and it was now judge. That vision never left me for a split second throughout these years. I saw myself. So I encourage whatever vision. And I'm going to tell you that not everybody's going to be, we always tell our kids, doctor, lawyer, no. Because there was a slide I saw, a fish and an elephant and a monkey and these animals, a giraffe. And the interviewer says, well, the job will be given to the person who can climb this tree. Now you tell me that these people that I named the animals, fish, and so if fish thought that was the measure of the intelligence, she would have lived all her life thinking she's stupid. Climbing the tree. So I urge everyone, I said, don't just think this is the only thing. Whatever it is that your vision is, you can do it. But never let go of that vision. That's really what I learned. Now, it's there, and judge. So I asked again, another, you find mentors. How do you? Well, are you in politics? Are you? No. Well, get into politics, mainstream. Get into, meaning when they say politics, doesn't mean you start running for a position. Meaning, in the main elections, campaigns, just help, whichever side, doesn't matter, just be seen. So now I said, oh, okay, so I used to take everything to heart that when a mentor tells you something, you got to do it too. Again, like I said, it's a choice. So I had to, okay, I'll do it. Well, I did all my networking, this, that, and then, of course, when governor appointed me to these positions, and then I applied for twice. I applied. You talk about failures too. It's not all success. So twice I applied for Court of Appeals, Georgia Court of Appeals. Look at the audacity of a person who's never served on a bench. I'm a lawyer, no experience, and I'm going for Georgia Court of Appeals. So I applied twice, and then I didn't get it. And I was so happy in a way, because when God doesn't give you something, you think, because we are thinking something, but God has something better. So now, when twice I did not get in, there were people who applied, who were sitting on the bench Superior Court for 20, 25 years. How bad would it have looked if governor had appointed me instead of them, and then people would be like, "Arey, jump here, governor." So it's not on merit. So I was in a way very happy that I didn't get it. But how much experience it gave me to interview. I sat the other side when I was on Judicial Nominating Commission, by the way, those people who don't know, is a body of 25 people handpicked by the governor to interview future judges. So at one point, I was sitting there and interviewing those people. Now I applied, it's my turn. So I'm sitting on the other side of the table, and then I'm looking at my colleagues because I've known them. I said, oh, the view is very different from this side of the table because I'm now interviewing, but I didn't get that.
Okay, so there again is resiliency. We can see that how many times you are pushed down, or you are, again, not getting what you planned for, what you achieved for, you still come back for it. And I know we all know this actually. It is so much of a cliche. It's repeatedly said again and again, but it's more about how much we put in practice. Right? One time something comes, a fallback or something, like even, oh, I wanted to do this so bad, it didn't happen, it kind of demotivates us very easily. And it is, I don't know if it's human nature, if it's just the way our personalities are, it does do that. But now, here we are, we're learning and listening to such stories. It makes us feel that, no, if she can, we can too. It's just that we have to have that willpower and go ahead and do that. And how much ever we feel, get the setbacks, don't let yourself drown.
That's it. And talk about failures. I took 3 times, LSAT 3 times, because I wasn't getting in law school. 1 rejection, 2nd time rejection, 3rd time rejection. I'm like, wow. If I die trying, I used to tell God, like I used to have conversation, that if I try dying, I will not quit trying. So you have to let me get in. And then when I got in and all, then the bar exam, it took me 3 tries. 3 times I had to try bar exam. Each time, 1 point, 2 points. It just broke my heart. So again, I will die trying, but I will never quit. And that's what brought me where I am. So fast forward now, it was time for Governor Kemp because I was applying. So he knew that she wants it. So one day his council called and said, Ms. Bob, here's the application and you can apply for this job. And the tears are rolling because first I don't know what is this job. So when they told me, so I thought, okay, first Indian woman, this 100 years this agency has existed. No one from Indian American descent has ever served. So then I kind of made that.
That is the big round of applause. Exactly. I think a lot of those people don't even know. So proud of you.
I was humble when that call came. I accepted it with honor, with privilege, and then with tears rolling. And then when my swearing in March 2020, I was called, and then pandemic hit. So my swearing in is being delayed. Then I'm thinking, is Governor going to appoint or has he changed his mind? So, but because of the pandemic, everything was going. And my mom stood by me August 17th, 2020, with our masks on, and I was sworn into that judgeship, that position. So I'm humbled and honored to serve my state of Georgia and representing our community in this position that I am. So I'm really grateful for the support of the board. So thank you for listening to my story, or if anybody has any questions, yes.
Yes.
You talked, first of all, I know Meera for 20 years, but this is the first time I realized.
What a humbling story you have. By the way I know Meera because she went to the local temple and she sang bhajans and harmonium, and I was just totally mantramugdha. So my thing is, you were talking about 3 C's. You said first choice, but 2 I missed or didn't hear.
Yeah. So you must make the choice to take a chance if you want anything in life to change. Got it?
Say that again.
You must make the choice to take a chance if you want anything in life to change. And then once you make a decision, the universe conspires to make it happen. And that universe, I say, my faith, my God, without that, or my guru, we all have someone in our life. God's never ever underestimate the power of prayer and your vision. And I think determination, combination, ये नहीं कि भगवान करेंगे सब कुछ, books तो बंद करो. No. You do your part, and then Bhagwan does his. And I think in my life and in my son's life, and what I've raised him with those values. And again,
God helps those who help themselves.
Yes.
A very, very inspiring story. And my name is Dinu Maru. I actually especially came to this forum, even though I have a little toddler, so I haven't been able to attend many events. But the reason I came here, I'm an immigration lawyer. And so I see you actually as one of the mentors, because I see some of the footsteps that you walked in becoming a lawyer, which frankly, even in my family, no one really who is in the field of law, in the field of immigration law. My question to you is, we are in very, very difficult times in our field. What are some tips for the next few years to get through this time, and how do you see the whole Constitution being impacted?
Okay, so this is a very, very specific question about immigration, so to speak. I think that's what you mean. So I quit practicing immigration in 2019 when I sold the law firm, because if I didn't sell it then, I didn't know when my judgeship was coming. So I had to make that decision very strategically to get my money out, and then I'll see whatever I do, because I created another. So I haven't practiced immigration. However, I practiced for 15 years, so I can tell you that there is a lot of apprehension and scare and anxiety Because people think that, oh, we are green card holders, so hum to H1B, whatever. No, it's not that we are being deported because we are H1Bs or green. Everybody legally is not being deported. There's a lot of what they call fake news these days, the younger generation knows this. So there's a lot. So don't listen to everything, that's what first I would say. Secondly, I always say, this too shall pass. Always it happens. You know how many calamities, how much we've gone through, all of us, from presidents to presidents to president, and then you think, oh, so this too shall pass. In the meanwhile, always just do the right thing. Meaning, okay, if you have an ID, well, carry it with you. Be polite, be gentle. You know, so the other day I was stopped by a police officer because he saw my phone in my hands, and I was just putting in some directions, and the car came, I was driving. He somehow saw that phone. So did anything happen to me then? Oh my gosh, no, because I'm Indian American or I don't, nothing. I was very polite. I said, officer, I am so sorry. I know I shouldn't have been on the phone. I'm really sorry. He smiled. Very tactically, I gave him my card and driver's license. Now, I'm not saying that he had that judge there, that he didn't have anything to do with it. But he looked at it, he didn't touch the card, but he saw it. He went back, checked my background, came back. Be careful. So what I'm saying is that if I had been like, you know, the attitude and everything, just stay humble, because we, Indian American community, we have that perception. Hardworking people, our kids are doing well, we are educated. So let's stay with that perception and be proud to be Americans, what America has given. Don't be scared at all. And as a practitioner, you will still guide your clients as you would have otherwise, right? And that's how it is. So I'm very positive in every way. This too shall pass, is all I can say.
I was wondering, you're in a very male-dominated field, and so I'm very curious, how do you retain your own way and your own path and not lose even the parts that are more feminine and wise and intuitive? So how do you navigate?
Thank you, very good question. So my two judges, if I could project a picture, or you can go on my website, State Board of Workers' Comp. Tall, 6'5", white male, and here I am, little. So when I walk in the court, so I'm the first one, then Chairman Vincent and Judge McKay. So our clerk walks in first, if you've seen even on TV. So all rise, so everybody stands up in the court, and this little me is walking, but with pride. Because I have maintained my individuality. So you talk about culturally, so when I go to conferences, even our workers' comp conferences, first, I am the only Indian American judge in entire 50 states. I have researched this because I don't see any. So in workers' comp, in workers' comp. So I asked my judges, I said, where is our Indian American community? So they laugh at me, they say, oh, you're out there making money, being, you know, whatever you are, hotel owners, and, you know, so they just laugh at me, doctors, that's where they are. They don't want to come to workers' comp. So, but the perception is that we are out there making money, which is a good perception. I'll take it any day. But for me to maintain that helps me a lot, because now they know my story, where I came from and where I am appointed. So that gives me that merit-based thing like that. And then also, I proudly take my Indian heritage wherever I go. So it's not like I'm going to change. So if you see me on the bench, I got a robe and I look different. They call me a Judge Ball. You look like a poker face. I said, that's where I'm supposed to look. But here, when I'm in my conferences in the evening receptions, I wear saris or I wear Indian dresses. I walk in, oh, that's so pretty, because I want them to know this is real me, right? I wear a robe because I serve. That's how I maintain, because of just the confidence and pride in your culture and heritage. So that's how.
Hi Neera, surprise.
Surprise, beautiful surprise.
I've been following Neera for over 25 years. Like a music group, I'm a follower. No, I'm just kidding. I happen to be here by coincidence, and I see Neera here. And Neera has been a friend for many years. over 25 years. I live in Atlanta, Georgia. She lives in Georgia. We are very proud of you, Meera, for being a judge, first Indian judge. And one question I have while I'm here.
Make it easy one.
You had a dream game to be a judge in the middle of the night, and you became a judge. What's your next dream? Simple question.
Simple question.
Nothing.
Thank you for asking.
We're waiting for you.
Thank you.
Actually, that was the question. You stole my question.
See,
I was also hoping for you to answer that. What is next? Like, I'm sure.
so you might think that this is. Thank you, Dilip. So, okay, what's next? You know, you think that I've reached my peak now. I'm a appellate judge. Where else? So my next vision is a federal judge. An 11th Circuit Court of Appeals, which is Georgia, Florida, Alabama, these 3 states it covers. There is not one Indian American male or female judge who has ever served 11th Circuit Court of Appeals. So that's my next, however. I've been hearing this, that once you are a certain age, the person who's going to appoint you, they think, well, we want someone younger, and to younger generation here sitting, the lawyers, go for it if you can, because I don't know how much chances I have at age 68. So they think that because we are a certain age, they want to appoint longevity, someone who can serve for life, because those positions are for life. Now, when I heard this, it was a little disappointing, and then that depression said, I said no, because maybe God has different plan, or maybe I still can be. So I've not given up to be like, I still have that desire, I will pray for it, but with surrender to God's will. If it is His will that I serve 11th Circuit, I will proudly represent our Indian American community there too. But if it doesn't happen, like Pramukh Swamiji Maharaj was saying, selfless service, I have that desire of having a non-profit where I can gather those kids, where how we all raise our kids, our son, vegan, no alcohol, been born, raised here, you know, so if we can do it, I want more kids to be like that, like our kids. We're so proud. So that's my next desire if the 11th Circuit Court of Appeal does not happen. But I still, please bless me and keep praying for me. I see.
Thank you so much.
Oh, one last question. Okay.
This is our last question. Was there any point in your career being as a justice, did you feel that the justice that you served was in line with Jain values? Or how did that play a role? I mean, it's a long-winded question.
Yeah, but I will quickly, very easy for me.
Okay.
The day of the bench, when I'm ready to go that day, more long day, I just pray, God, let it be your decision, so that my stroke of my pen, it can change someone's life. Because one lawyer is arguing this way, the other one this way. For a minute you think, oh, but he's right, or she's right. But there is that someone who's right, and that's my voice inside. After evidence and everything, what my role is, I have to do that. But it's my faith, because I pray with deep conviction, Lord, let it be your decision. So Jain faith, you know, like you say that faith, whether it's Jain, faith is faith, right? From whichever background you're from, right? Faith is faith. So, but because we are all people of faith, we just pray for every moment, kuch bhi hota hai, we go for prayers, right? This is a big decision, changing somebody's life. Do we have threats on our life? Trust me. People could go, hey, racist judge. Like, what, me racist judge? So, but people say that, right? So we ask for protection, ask for God's blessings, that let my signature stroke of pen be your decision. And then we just have to be satisfied. But I will never, and quick, I will tell you one time, her question is very valid. My son was working at Emory as a work study student with me. He says, Mom, I want to learn this experiment. I said, okay, 6 o'clock aa jana, because it's a long day. So 6 ghante ki incubation, I told him, I'll be there. Well, 7 baj gaya, 8 o'clock, 9, he's nowhere to be found. So I started my experiment. He calls me 9 o'clock, Mom, I'm sorry, I was out later. I said, Sumit, you're fired. And he goes, Mom, you can't do that to me. I said, Sumit, you heard me, you are fired. You talk about impartiality. My own son, nobody would have known कि नहीं आया, वो late आया, but why the heck did you stay out late drinking or whatever you were doing? Those were drinking days. So I was strict, but no, but I fired him. And you talk about the impartiality and justice of a judge. And when they took my interview, this is the story I told them. If I can fire my own son, and he goes to my boss and says, can you tell her my mom fired me? So that's how the qualities of a impartial judge that I can hopefully say I will continue doing that I've displayed. So thank you so much. Wonderful.
On that note, thanks. I just want to say to everyone, thank you. Very thoughtful and very intelligent questions. I love the audience engagement and really appreciated Neeraji and Meghnaji. Thank you so much for your time and for the very thought-provoking conversation and story that you've shared with us. Thank you so much.
Can I 1 second say something about this book and you can look at it later? It's called Holy Tirthankars, written by the spiritual head of Heartfulness Meditation, Daji. So this book will be available, but since I was coming, they gave me this book to tell you about it. And when I read about it, I said, how appropriate to be brought into Jain Convention. So you can learn more about the book. Thank you. Thank you for inviting me. Thank you for your
Hemal Patni, you heard about Hemal Patni. She is the chair of Jaina Women Committees and a senior director. Hemal Patni is a dynamic and committed leader, serving as the chair of Jaina Women's Committee with a strong passion for empowering women across the generation. She has led numerous initiatives focused on spiritual growth, cultural preservation, and leadership development for a Jain woman across the North America. Her collaborative approach and tireless efforts have made lasting impact with the Jain community. In her professional life, Hemal serves as a senior director, bringing a strategic vision, organizational excellence, and people-focused leadership to her work. Her ability to balance both professional and community responsibility with the grace and purpose is widely admired. Hemal continues to inspire her dedication, compassion, and unwavering commitment to Seva. So let's welcome Hemal Patni to the stage. Hemal Ben, please come.
Thank you, Kalpana. Thank you very much. Okay, so like I mentioned, the next session in our Empowerment Forum is a panel discussion on entrepreneurship. I am going to take a moment to introduce the panelists for this Women Empowerment Forum. First off, I want to introduce Mansi. From launching a neighborhood business at 11, to coding for a defense contractor in college, to winning early victories in the courtroom, Mansi has been described as tenacious, creative, and business-oriented by all her clients. For the last 2 decades, Mansi practiced law and rose to equity partner at Kilpatrick Townsend, a large law firm. Mansi currently wears several hats. She's a legal advisor to legal AI companies, she's an investor in startup companies, and she's an author. Her book, The Monsoon Method, was written from her experience having both a front row seat and backstage pass in a career that required business development. Mansi led the South Asian Bar Association of North America as its president and later served as the chair of the National Advisory Council. She has also been a trustee for the YJA for 2 terms, and she's been the YJA Executive Committee, part of the YJA Executive Committee in college as well. Welcome, Mansi. Since we've been talking about Meera ji and legal careers, another lawyer on the panel this time. Next up, I want to introduce Braj. Braj Shah is the CEO of Cryospan, a top technology consulting firm specializing in AI, cloud migration, and software modernization. These words come very easy to me because this is my word as well. She leads the company's strategic growth and operations, guiding its expansion into new markets with over 800 successful projects across finance, insurance, telecom, and healthcare, achieving a remarkable 97% client retention rate. That is commendable. Passionate about impact, she also champions programs that nurture tech talent in underserved Chicago communities. And prior to Cryospan, Braj played a key role at Sogeri. It's a Capgemini subsidiary, where she developed regulatory compliance solutions for SunGard Financial. Her career also spans influential roles at Citizens Utility Board, Panasia, and Sentinel Technologies. Braj holds a dual bachelor's in computer science and chemistry, and she completed the advanced management education program from Kellogg. She currently serves on the board of the Chicago Chamber of Commerce, continuing to influence both industry innovation and community growth. Welcome, Braj. Those are very impressive profiles. And then last but not least at all, Seema ji. So Seema Jain is a seasoned professional with deep expertise in guiding companies towards greater cultural competence. This is very relevant in the world we live in, honestly. As former Senior Director of Multicultural Affairs at Marriott, she developed tools and resources that empower associates to better serve a global and diverse clientele. Prior to Marriott, she worked in healthcare at Baxter and Caremark International, focusing on acquisition analysis of physical therapy centers. She also ran her own consulting business, preparing valuations for clients acquiring such facilities. Seema holds a BS in Finance from Miami University of Ohio and an MBA from DePaul. She is the co-founder of 2 nonprofits, Supporting Excellence in Education Foundation, SEED, which awards scholarships to high school students, and YJA, a national youth organization promoting young culture. We know about YJA for the most part. Seema is based in Chicago. She enjoys yoga, cooking, and travel. She and her husband, they have 3 children, 29, 27, and 24. You don't look like the mom of 3 kids in their 20s, so welcome, Seema Jain. Yes, thank you. So let's get started. First question, Seema ji, what inspired you to pursue your current career path? Because you've had a very winding trail for a career. Tell us, please.
Absolutely. Well, thank you all for coming here. End of the day is hard. Hopefully you had good chai, enjoying the conference. Nice to see my parents, my in-laws here, some members. Woo! My sister-in-laws. Yes, we got them all. Thanks. So my journey is a little unique, as most of us grew up in this country as ABCDs, or if you came here early, you knew that your career paths were doctor, engineer, lawyer, business. My father told me very gently, business is a good degree. What do you want to do, finance or accounting? So that was very nice of him to give me 2 choices. I took the finance degree, and that's where the healthcare came in, of acquisitions, pro formas, kind of as boring as it sounds, sorry. But throughout my journey, started those 2 nonprofits, raising children, and then my parents entered the hotel industry. As they entered that hotel industry, I realized, oh my gosh, they're gonna ask me to do something, and I don't know anything about hotels. So I decided to take my hand, take it out of finance, and put it into sales. Sales was a lot sexier and a lot easier for me to do because it met my personality. So I started at a hotel right here in Chicago, the Lincolnshire Marriott Resort, and did corporate sales. It was in 2008 that I discovered that if I'm trying to get people to come to my hotel, that perhaps if I'm culturally competent and understood their needs, whether they like chai in the morning, moha, they want TV Asia, so they can watch a cricket game, what can I do to make their stay more comfortable with us? Is anybody in this room staying at the Residence Inn or Spring Hill Suites? Did you notice the decor or any things that the hotel might have done? Great. The general manager reached out to me 2 weeks ago and said, Seema, we need to understand these 5,000 people coming to our city. So we engaged them on Jainism, we engaged them on what the Jaina conference is, and what could they do. Hopefully you had chai in the morning. Yes, all right, I'm gonna let him know that. Thank you so much. So my journey took on that I wanted to make sure that we can help our hotel teams understand how to take care of diverse groups. And I have to say, I have to give a shout out to my friend Sanjog, who guided me in the early years of helping me understand what we can do to make it better. So thank you so much. And today now we do it in the pandemic, we decided to do it on our own. So instead of serving just Marriott International, Hilton, IHG, they're all good clients of that. So this journey actually just came organically. It wasn't something you go to college and say, I want to be a cultural advisor. It doesn't work that way. You learn over time that this is what you want to do. The one thing you can relate to that is our #1 seller is Indian weddings. I mean, if you all went to an Indian wedding, we do tend to spend a little lavishly. Well, the hotels also want to understand, how do we get that market? So if you get a chance, go stop by the booth, the Ritz-Carlton Naples. They just did $1 million wedding. They're very good at Indian weddings, but that's the types of things. We do LGBTQ+, Jewish, Muslim, whatever, but making sure that teams are ready to understand another person's perspective. So that's a little bit about where we are.
That is amazing, and I think it's really relevant today because the workforce or the clientele, like you said, is very diverse, is very global, and it isn't one size fits all. And it can't be, or it shouldn't be. So that's great. Next question. Praj, can you share a pivotal moment in your career that shaped or drove your journey?
Well, Jai Janindra, it's great to be here and actually sharing a stage with these lovely ladies and like-minded people here in the audience who are actually the soul of who share similar values as I do. I had throughout my journey, I had a few pivotal moments, I would say. I came to this country at the age of 19. Holding a degree in chemistry, was very much unsure of what I wanted to do. And at that time, I took an introductory course in computer science, and that class sparked something in me. I said, this is what I wanted to do, and I decided to pursue my career as a software engineer, get a degree in computer science, and the road was not easy. It wasn't a straight line, and I'm very glad that I took that decision. And basically, I was very resilient to pay, self-fund the 100% of my education. Fast forward 7-8 years, I worked with different consulting firms, clients, and throughout my journey, I learned a lot of systems, softwares, and I understood that not only I can provide technology solutions, but I also I have gained great business insights, and that was basically a turning point for me in my career, which I would call as a second turning point, where I decided to take as a management role with Creospan. And it was, and that role eventually led me to be the CEO of the company, which was, I believe, that was the turning point for me personally. because it was in 2008, height of global financial crisis. We all remember that. That was, as a software engineer, I had learned a lot from the client's processes, procedures, and I started focusing in words. I looked into, with added weight of the leadership, I needed to do something, not only survive the crisis, but also have a new business, think outside of the box to grow our business. And that was the time I looked into having, bring the financial discipline, not only just strengthen the operational backbone, and also from the improvise the operational efficiencies. And something that we did very different, some of our key team members were focusing on getting the concentrated on sales. And at that time I realized that, and they seized an opportunity with RF engineering, the space completely out of our comfort zone. We had never did anything in that regards, but we saw an opportunity, and that was, we seized the moment. We got into with one of the telecom giant. So that particular practice did not take away from our roots in technology, but also it opened door for us. Just fast forward looking all of that, I realized, it's leadership is about, at that time it was all about taking risk, teamwork, and being able to have the resilience approach even the world is uncertain. So from being a chemistry major, unsure about what I wanted to do, to running a company and pivoting into two different areas, which I thought was, within very short time, was kind of pivotal moment for me personally and for in the direction of the company.
Absolutely. From learning that you're good at a leadership position, to driving direction, to the C-suite. You mentioned that in a matter of 3 minutes, but that is an impressive career that I see. So that's
leadership is about having the courage to pivot, which is, and taking a calculated risk, which I believe are the key fundamental things for the leadership.
Yep. Not everybody can do it though. Saying it and doing it are miles apart in most worlds, so that's amazing. Mansi, over to you. The lawyer on the table. There are people in our audience. I'm one of them. Like, you're curious about what it takes to start your own venture. Like, what if someone's thinking about it? They have a skill or they have an idea. Like from the ideation phase to making it real. Like, what does it take? What are the steps involved, right? And not only from the legal point of view, but also from an entrepreneurial point of view, right? What are the typical steps?
Yeah, so I had taken this a little bit differently, but we can go down the typical steps too. But I will start at a point where I think you heard a lot about risk, and I think I'm going to flip it on you because, we have one life, and so the one thing I would tell all of you is, what if you didn't take that risk? If it bothers you a little bit inside, it means you have to figure out how to take that risk. And not all businesses are the same, and you don't have to do like the superstar billion-dollar unicorn business. It's not really required of you to be an entrepreneur. Some of the entrepreneurs I know that have done really well, is that better? Okay. Some of the entrepreneurs I know that have done really well did not do that, right? They did not try to build a rocket ship, be the founder on the front of every magazine, but really they just built a good business or started building a good business. And I was going to give the example of Rika Shah. Does anyone know who that is? Okay, I'm going to turn it a little bit because MSI Stone was actually started by Rika Auntie in their garage. They were selling stone out of their garage. And we lived in Cerritos, which is where they were initially when she was selling that stone out of the garage. Then Manu Uncle decided to leave his job because her job was doing pretty well to join that job. I think he made it a $100 million company. Together they did that, because without her taking that chance, there wasn't MSI Stone. And then they, educated their kids, and now their boys have taken it to $1 billion business. But it had to start with the woman at home who was like, you know what, I want to do something. I don't want to just be mom. I want to do something more for myself. And I think I want to share that. And I asked her permission earlier, because I don't think all of us think about what we can do to add to our households and to make it like a family thing. And sometimes we're thinking women's empowerment might be a negative thing. I can see in some ways how empty this room is. But the other thing I thought about when I was thinking about this was, as a lawyer, the one thing that comes to us often that I don't like coming to us but does is when the bad thing happens, like somebody either becomes disabled in the family, usually the man, or they pass away. A lot of women are not empowered to know what to do in that moment. And that's a family issue. It's not a women's empowerment issue. But when I see that we're not empowering women to know that side of the family, like the man is handling the finances or the woman knows nothing, it's bad for your own kids. So I wanted to say those couple things before like the steps of a business, because those things you can find with ChatGPT. Like it will tell you that. Like here, go incorporate your business, decide whether you should be a C Corp or an LLC, what makes more sense for your taxes. All of that stuff is available to you, but the thought process of why you should do it is less available, something that actually makes sense to you, and why it should be something you should consider if you haven't already.
That is so true. I have two thoughts based on what you were saying, Mansi. Right? Women empowerment, although we call these sessions Women Empowerment Forum and Women Empowerment Committee, Women Empowerment Sessions, right? I feel like women empowerment is as much about educating the men as it is about educating the women. And then the other thing that you said, Mansi, which is something that always resonated with me, is your business or your venture doesn't have to be something that makes tons of money. Like, even if it's staying afloat, it's something that helps women have an identity of their own, which is outside of the roles of mom and wife and daughter-in-law and all of that, right? You use a different part of your brain when you get into meeting people outside of the home and doing things outside of the home. So that's part of your identity. That's something that I feel like is very important, and that's something that's very, very important to me personally, like for everyone to have a job. Doesn't have to mean it's a high-paying job. Doesn't have to mean it is something that is what these ladies are doing. Right? You don't have to be in the C-suite. You have to do something for yourself.
But I do want to flip it on its head just a little, because I think sometimes we forget that tomorrow is not promised. Like, we don't know, right? So like, I think that's what we forget so often.
Yeah.
And especially we don't think about who's going to be carrying the load if you're not there, like for both people. And I don't think we think about it, and then when it happens, it's really awful. So I hate thinking about it too. Nobody likes it, but at least if you plan that way, then both of you are like partners in that. And I think for your kids, it's so important.
True. And for your kids to see mom and dad in that light as well. Right? I feel like that's a very important family dynamic to be there. All right, taking a slightly different direction. Praj, funding. When you're starting either, like I said, a new venture, or when you're trying to grow your business, like you must have at some point as CEO of Cryospan, whether it's bootstrapping, or it's attracting investors, or navigating loans, right? How do you navigate funding?
So I think the funding is a very crucial part of your business, and it all depends on based on what your goal for the company is. Do you have a clear go-to-market strategy? Do you have a clear understanding what the product looks like, or what the end product looks like? And I think in my case, we were lucky to have completely bootstrapping our business from the get-go. And that not only gave us, it allowed us to have organic growth, it allowed us to be flexible in terms of getting a market response and see how do we adjust our strategy in terms of having just validating if this is a service line we want to continue, and reinvesting in your business, getting the funds out of your business and reinvesting allowed us to stay humble, nimble, and at the same time we were able to optimize every single portion of our business, because it also allowed us to have the skin in the game, and we were able to better negotiate the terms with the clients. Many of the clients you will see, clients and vendors, right, payment terms. So many of the clients you would see that they will have an early payment option with slightly discount. You could take that advantage, and it's a cheap. You're not getting an outside investor and giving the equity or the control of the company. So that worked for us. But as far as getting the outside investor, you have to decide what stage you want the investor to be in. If you're getting the investor way early in, you could lose very much control and sense and the direction of the company, right? Like having them, if you have them come in little later stage, you may be negotiating from the point of, from the position point, right? And then, but at the earlier on, if you have lower risk, you may have, and you're looking at the investor who coming up with the Rolodex of networks and not only just the cash. So I think it is important that you choose what is good for your business. The bank loan and the line of credit is obviously the cheapest option, I would say. It will, even between loan and line, I would always advise on the line of credit. It's based on your cash flow, based on what liquidity looks like for your company, based on what are some of the terms that you are able to negotiate with the bank. Do you have to sign on the personal guarantee, or what that ratio looks like in terms of the cash requirement? It all depends and very unique to your business. So in terms of, and also I think bank, when you work with bank, they kind of discipline you. They discipline in a way that you don't have to, banks usually don't like to see you having more than 20% of concentration on one particular industry or one particular client. So it kind of discipline you from your practices throughout the organization. And I would think that it's all about what you're looking for out of your business. If you have clear go-to-market strategy, then get the outside funding, accelerate your growth, if you have a product, things are changing a lot in AI world. So what worked for us is not necessarily one shoe's not gonna fit all, right? So, but I would recommend to have a sustainable growth like what we did. I would have as in bootstrapping as an option, or having as a line of credit with the bank established. And having a good banking relationship always come handy when you are in times of need.
Makes sense. That's very helpful. Thank you so much, Praj. Mansi, I was going to go down the whole specific considerations for women entrepreneurs, but I think we sort of talked about it. So instead, if you're okay, I pivot and talk about career choices, or what. Let me phrase it this way: what do you know now that you would have told your 22-year-old self that might have been a pivotal, different moment for you?
I think growing up, we really did not know all the different careers one can have. I think you're given a very limited view of what you see success as. I would say most of us are pattern matching people. Look, you could be this and you can have a nice car and a lot of money, or so you're looking at things to make sure you're successful. And what we know of that success is a little bit limited because it's limited by what you see. So what you see sometimes doesn't show you all the things. I'll give you a fun example. We're remodeling our house. I did not know the number of things you have to pick. And then when you look at where it's imported from, it's from India. I'm like, that could have been my business, right? Like, I just don't think I thought to think outside the box. It was like, okay, I have to go get my degree. And when I first started, in school, I didn't know what I liked, but like you, I took an introductory computer science class. So I have a software engineering degree, and then I went to law school. So I got to change a little here and there. But I think when I think of what you could do, like the world is your oyster. There's so much, but you don't think like that knob you're holding at the hotel room, that was a choice. And like 10 different people probably made that knob become there, if that makes any sense. Like there's an interior designer there. I didn't think that was a lucrative career, but now I've seen it could be a very lucrative career. Like there's just so many paths, I think, that I did not think were open to me or that I didn't think about that are there. And I think you have to think about sort of everything you interact with as a possible option. And I didn't do that.
I feel like that's most of us because of the way we are raised with our Indian parents and the Indian heritage. It's like Neeraj was saying, right? You got 2 or 3 choices, right? And then you pick from those because that's the only successful, air quotes, careers one can have or one could possibly think about. So,
But
yeah.
I think it's less powerful, right? Because when I think if you're running your own business, it's yours. So you get to kind of pick how it is and what it is. When I worked at a big law firm, which is different than Neeraj's business, right? Because she got to run her own firm. But I was in a structure, a power structure that's very different, right? I was the only one that looked like me in every room. Me and a bunch of white guys. We were, I mean, it's still that way, but I was a software engineer turned lawyer. So that was definitely, you know, and then to earn their respect, it took a while. Right? But once I had it, then it didn't go away. But it did take a little bit. They had to know that I was smart both at the science and at the law. And so you really had to prove yourself a couple more times than the guy that walked in, even if they're younger than you. So you know, those are realities, but if you own your own business, you're proving it to yourself, and then you get to choose a lot more, I think, than you did when you're in a structure that's defined by somebody else.
That is, I agree. I have been the only person that looks like me in every room since engineering college as well. So I feel like, you know, this is us. Over to you, Seemaji. How, I think this is again a little bit of a tangent, but we as women, like, we wear multiple hats, right? We just always do. It doesn't matter whether it's an Indian woman or a white woman, right? We typically tend to wear multiple hats, right? So how do you balance entrepreneurship, which can be all-consuming in a lot of ways for most people, with other responsibilities, with family, with you know, parents, and everything else that we do?
Oh wow, that's a loaded question. And I'm sure my husband is going to have a different comment than me. First of all, how many of you in the room are entrepreneurs or aspiring or have been but realize that's not my thing? Okay, so this is good. Good. It's sometimes not. So, you know, here's the thing. I am not great with the balance, but I'm working on it. And the reason I'm not great is when you love what you do, you wake up every morning so excited. Like, people don't like Monday mornings, I'm ready to go, right? Because I can't wait to do something new. So it is a balance that I'm working on. I know my husband gets irritated because I'm on the phone too much, checking LinkedIn or checking email, because you want to be there for your client, you want to be there for your customers, you want to be there all the time. Leaving corporate America 5 years ago was probably the best decision I ever made, because you are your CEO, you are the signing your travel expense reports, you are the accounting person, you are the HR, you are everything, right? And decisions go so much faster than sitting through review cycles and review cycles at a corporate. So Marriott being a very large company, obviously it's very different, it's a large company, a lot to learn, it was a great, phenomenal career, but the entrepreneurial route is a balance. And as you said, as a woman, and even an Indian woman, we have different responsibilities. And the responsibilities of an Indian woman encompass usually 2 sets of parents. So we are daughter-in-law, we are daughter, we're taking care of our family, we're taking care of our children who keep returning after different pandemics and COVIDs, and they keep coming home, and that's perfectly okay, perfectly okay. But the thing is, as an Indian woman, I feel now at this time in my life, the balance needs to be taken care of, that my parents who gave me everything to be who I am today, it is my turn to seva it forward and take care of them. So there's no job that's so important to me unless if it impacts their life, then I can't do it. So at this point, it is giving back to them. And I am blessed, I have 4 parents here today. It is amazing that I have 4. My kids feel very fortunate they have 4 grandparents in the room. So it is nice to know, but as an Indian woman, I tell my American friends that sometimes you don't have the same responsibilities of a daughter-in-law that we do, and the expectations are, which is perfectly fine. There's a give and take in everything. So I want to only have enough workload that I can balance my life. The minute I cannot balance my life, I can cut back on a client. I need to cut back, because right now my biggest priority at this age is making sure my parents are taken care of, my in-laws are taken care of. We drop everything for them. And this is my perspective. Do I love being a founder CEO? I love it. I love it, and I wouldn't trade it for the world because I have the flexibility. Probably work harder in my life than I ever have, but it's all for me. It's not for somebody else. It's all for me. I have a very small and mighty team. And one thing I do on a personal level is I make sure everybody gets their me time. Mental health is important, emotional, physical. If you want to go to the gym all day, go to the gym. I don't have an issue, because we are not cardiologists saving lives. Your health is more important to me, and your well-being is more important. So I block my calendar till 10 a.m. every day, and I make sure that that is my time, me time, my strength training class, my yoga class, going for a run, whatever I want. Nobody comes in before 10. So we kind of set up our calendar that way, but I want to make sure my team also has that same feeling of, hey, it is good that she believes in this and wants to promote health and well-being. At the end of the day, if I have a good teammate, they're going to do great for me. So that's kind of, I work on it. I'm not perfect. I do have a hard time disengaging, but when I do disengage, then I'm fully committed to my family.
That is incredible, because I feel like everyone, it's a tightrope walk, right? You tip on one side or the other at different phases in your life, but everybody mostly manages to stay afloat for the most part. And the other thing that you said, which also I've personally been going through right now, is that we just got acquired by a very large organization, so it's the decision by committee that slows everything down, right, to the point where you're like, okay, do we have consensus? Do the 100 people on the phone call agree? And then okay, maybe we can take a step. So it's got a life of its own. It is exhausting. All right, Nancy, over to you. As business owners, go through the life cycle of growing, maturing their business, right? There's intellectual property, there's trademarks, there's contracts, customers, clients. How can they legally protect themselves?
The business. There's a lot that you have to do, I guess, to legally protect any business. And most of you, if you have a business or have thought about a business, have gone down some of those rabbit holes. They probably looked really daunting. Sometimes you're like, I don't know if I want to set up a business because I could be liable for X And I think a lot of those risks are always going to be there. And some of those risks are there even if you're part of another organization. So I would say there are those risks. But if you're coming up with some really cool invention, right? Like who was I talking to? I think it was Rhea Salvo. She was sharing about something they're doing in farms in India. When she had started sharing what they would be doing in farms in India, in my mind, all I could think is like, has she gotten a patent on this? And then has she gotten that global? Because that's when the light bulb of my intellectual property background. So I was a patent trial lawyer, so that's the side I know best. So I was like, I hope she's protected herself. Or if you pick a really great name for your company, but you don't know if your neighbor's using it, or somebody across the country is using it, and you may not be able to use it, like there's a trademark office, you can look up whether someone's using it or not, right? And it's really easy. You just go in to the trademark office, you put the name that you want for your company, and then you see if it's there. And is it under the same use case as you? So those are things that are really important. I would tell you copyright's important, but that's all in flux right now thanks to AI. So we've seen some really interesting decisions come out in the last week. I don't know if that makes sense to any of you, but basically if you know, AI sucked up the whole internet and everything it could find, right? And a few of these companies have been unhappy, artists or authors have been unhappy with that. But because it generates the way our brain does, they found that it is not, or like what it spits out is not original. And so it's not covered by copyright. So like you basically lose that to AI. So it's very interesting because copyright law was built before generative AI. So I can't say that that's going to be as protective for you unless it's a copy-paste. So we are seeing that shift. And then when it comes to your contracts, those are always fun. Seemaji and I have worked on those together. It's funny because contracts are in everything, and they're there every day, and they are all very hard, and they use some of the worst language on purpose because they want to be able to say that they can get out of it, right? So I think more important than any contract is the business relationship you have with the person. The contract's there, and you should try to cross your T's and dot your I's. But at the end of the day, that's not what's going to make or break you for the most part, unless you're going to spend a lot of money in trial, which I would not want to do. So usually those contracts, they mean something, and you want them to be pretty strong, but they don't mean everything, and if you have a good relationship, you could probably overcome a bad contract. So I hope I answered. I think that was everything. Clients, I will say something about clients, because I think it's interesting and important. I think sometimes, and this is what my book is about, so I think it's even more interesting. I think we all have an idea of, one, how to get clients and what to do with clients. And often, all of these things are very transactional in nature. And I think what I've learned through my career is it's the wrong approach, is to be transactional in nature. Because every time you give that feeling to somebody, they're probably not going to stay with you or help you later. So you have to genuinely care about people. So I will say that in any client relationship or building of partnerships or whatever you might be doing for your business, if you don't like that person, don't go into business with them. Like if it doesn't feel right, don't do it. Or if you can't care about them because you're like, I don't really like that person, don't. Find someone else who provides the same service and do business with them. Because I think it will change how you operate, and it will make your days better, and it will make the outcomes better. So that is something I would leave with all of you.
That is very insightful. Thank you, Mansi. Seemaji, another tangent of sorts. Jainism, your religion, your values. Like, how do you weave that with your your professional being?
No, I definitely incorporate it every day. So we all know the 3 A's, Ahimsa, Anekanpa, and Abriga. I think the one that I really like to incorporate in my world is Anekanpa. And when we talk about different cultures, we might want our non-Indian, non-Jain friends to understand the Jain way of life. Likewise, I want to understand maybe a Chinese culture, or a Muslim, or Jewish, or LGBTQ+. It's about respecting those differences and understanding each other. So Anekanpa is always 2 things, right? Multiple viewpoints. So that is something that we do every day when we are working with people, is having them understand another person's lens, their culture, what makes them tick, anything. But it's very important that we also respect and understand that as well. So Anekanpa is something we do naturally, organically in our learnings. I love it when I teach Indian culture, and I'm like, I bet you want to know why we all negotiate. Why do we always bargain, right? So helping them understand the core values is giving them the tools then to be better and successful when they're working with that individual. The other big one at Seva Global is doing Seva. So Seva, yes, starts with our parents. Okay? The name Seva came because I was in a pandemic taking care of my parents at that time. I was furloughed for 4 months. Great time. First time in my corporate career, I could go home and take care of my mom and dad, who are sitting over there, that couple, who's going to be celebrating their 60-year anniversary on Monday. So Seva starts at home, and I think we all know that in our community. But the other thing we've done with the company is make sure we do Seva events. Not just in the Indian community, but also in all the marginalized communities we live in. We just did a Juneteenth project outside Chicago. We do Hispanic Heritage Month in Pilsen area. We have an LGBTQ program coming up. But to make sure that Seva is done all the time, you earn money to donate money. That's the way I've been raised, that we make, but we also give back to the communities we live in. So these are the 2, Anekanpa and Seva, that I think we do really well at the company.
Yeah, That's helpful. Thank you so much. Braj, last question. This, I think, comes from a place of admiration for me. I don't know a lot of women CEOs. You're one of them. And what that is, no, to me,
You yourself have achieved really great deals, being at the Salesforce. You have done very well.
Thank you, appreciate it. So for you, right, what were some of the unique challenges for you being a woman, right? Again, in a mostly male-dominated space, the C-suite. I mean, I think technology has a lot of women now. I mean, fewer than men, but still quite a few women. But the C-suite is still mostly men in the way I see it, mostly white men, right? There's few other. So how has that been? Like, what kind of challenges do you face?
Yeah, I mean, in general, I think women entrepreneurship, it has a lot of things. But going back to what Seema was responding earlier, it is, even though every woman would have their own set of journey of challenges, but the theme is common. We see entrepreneurship itself is required you to wear multiple hats. You may have ambitious goal for the company, you may want to drive strategy, you may want to have a service roadmap, you may want to do sales and business development, but that's not always you end up doing. You realize that a lot of your time is consumed by doing administrative tasks and consumed by doing legal work, compliance, financial operations, which is not always glamorous, but it's required, it's necessary to do it. And on top of professional responsibility, you carry the added burden of expectations at home. You are culturally, socially, emotionally, you feel obligated that you need to be a primary caretaker for your family, for your kids, and even for extended family. So, it's your own battle that you're battling as well. You cannot do it all. The reality is you cannot do it all. And I came to that realization long in my career, just when I thought I have it all. I was actually afraid that I'm on the verge of losing it all. And then the approach that worked for me is to have the strong support system, even at work and at home. At work, I was able to develop a trusted team, not only just for the sake of delegating work or offboarding your tasks, but to actually empower them and give them the sense of ownership so they can take decisions. And at home, I realized that just having a few hours of domestic help also can save you tons of hours of work, and I'm very lucky to have that. And my husband here is my biggest champion, supporting me professionally and personally. He provided me the platform to grow into my career. And I'm very fortunate that I have a mother-in-law who's very close proximity, and she's always there in times of need. So I'm very fortunate that way. So beside the balancing act, I think there are two other points that are worth noting that female would face in general is access to capital and professional network. Women always find themselves very hard to grow a professional network compared to their male counterparts. And and they may not have the inner circle of the investors as the others would do. You may have heard this phrase that deals get done at the golf course or a sports conversation. And I'm not good in neither. I'm not good in either of those. But the good news is, as you grow your business, the reputation builds, and it gets easier. And at the same time, you have, you can always hire people who are good in networking and who could do that for you. And the third point worth noting, and I was going through now as well, is self-doubt. You know, you self-doubt, you second-guess yourselves, you second-guess your work, you second-guess your product, you second-guess your decision, you second-guess yourself. So fear is what will hold you behind. And, you know, for me, the way I was able to get through that is I grew up in a household with two brothers, one of my brothers here. And, you know, I was my opinion, and my opinion was heard. So I was able to build that confidence that cut through the noise and bias and, you know, just do what you need to do. And I think ultimately, you know, your work, my approach in life is your work, let your work speak louder than, let your actions speak louder than words. So, you know, over the years, the results change perception. So I think that would be, you know, so as a women entrepreneur navigating is, you know, you need courage, you need to take a bit of risk, clarity of focus, and yeah, resilience-wise, that's I would say are the important aspects.
That was amazing. Thank you so much. We are ready to open up for audience questions at this point. Is there anyone in the audience that has questions for our wonderful panel? Okay.
Thank you, all of you three lovely women. We learned a lot from you today, and I'm sure we, not only me, but everyone sitting here are going to get inspired by you. My question is, Praj, for you. This is for AI, and I'm hearing this a lot. And as you know, I also work for corporate America, that AI is going to get a lot of jobs away, right? I have a different perspective, but you being a tech CEO, do you get that a lot? And how do you help people or even women working for you, like just giving them calmness and helping them know that's not going to happen, or this is what you can do, or even young generation, right? There are people who they don't want to do computer science because they think the AI will take their job away. So, sorry, my question probably was long, but you can answer it like this.
Yeah, I would be lying if I would say that AI will take your jobs. But, you know, the thing is, we all fear. Being the software industry, doing what we are doing for the last 25 years, we are going through that continuous exercise. So we have built a strong data and AI team within Creospan, and we are helping our clients navigating through their AI journey, navigating through building use cases for them, and also building the best practices around the SDLC, software development lifecycle, and how we can best guide that. So we have not taken back seat. We have actually looked into how we can embrace AI, So I think in general, I would tell anybody that's in the audience who is worried about AI that it is definitely, if you don't do anything about it, it will impact you. So, all white-collar jobs, it's not only just the technology that's going to make a difference. You need to now yourself equip with not only just the technology, but understand what are some of the trends and get the domain expertise. That's what we tell within software industry. Develop the domain expertise, get classes that will educate you, and embrace AI, because if we don't, somebody will do. So, embrace it. It will create some other jobs, but you can't take a backseat, for sure.
I think that's exactly right. The way I see it as well is that AI is going to get rid of all of the repetitive work that humans used to do because they won't need to not do it anymore. But that means we have the opportunity to reinvent ourselves and do creative things that technology cannot do, right? That's really the opportunity. That's how you have to look at it. Other questions?
Hello. First of all, I want to just say thank you so much. You all have given such absolutely incredible insights. As an entrepreneur, it's like super, super amazing to see like such amazing women on this path. And yeah, it really is a guiding light for people like me who are more so in the, I guess we have more of the like say vision or like the gusto or whatever than the experience of actually doing it and going ahead and making those moves and scaling and building a team and stuff. Okay, my question is, I'm not a woman and I am not a father. And so I'm curious whether it's entrepreneurial women or just in general, this is for everyone, what is your biggest advice for us children and us men? Because I know you were talking about, how, it's many times, right, women in entrepreneurship have to prove themselves more. And they need to maybe do twice as much work to build the connections as men, right, in entrepreneurship. Or they have to be the moms in a traditional Indian household. It's like usually the women are the ones who are trained to do all the domestic work, right? The cooking, cleaning, etc. I've seen this all the time with my mom. And so, what's your biggest advice for us to approach those relationships with empathy and compassion, so that we can help you all rise?
So I think generally, culturally, we need to look at, first of all, Sparsh, I want to acknowledge you. Thank you for coming here. And you have been the biggest inspirational for a lot of young kids. I don't know if you know the story about Sparsh. He's an amazing, inspirational himself. So the fact that you asked that question, that means you care. That's a first step forward. And I think, I was very excited to be here for the Women Entrepreneur panel. We need to have this awareness within our community that if given the platform, we could all excel. It doesn't matter, it doesn't have to be, male or female. So as we raise our kids, we need to have that strong belief in them that if you're a girl, you're going to do certain things. That's not what we should set up from the get-go. As a community, we need to uplift women, and that starts very earlier in their career.
So I would say one size doesn't fit all, right? I had friends growing up who absolutely wanted to be moms who stayed at home. That exists in society too. So I don't want to discount those who want that. I just want to make sure that in whatever future of yours or whoever's, that they can see us as equal so that we can think equally. Like if I want to do that, then maybe my partner will choose something different so that, we have a balance, whatever we choose that balance to be. But I should be an equal member of that table where we made that decision. I think that's really the bigger piece that I see sometimes lacking. And then it causes a lot more problems down the line if both people don't have the understanding of what the expectation is from both of them. So I would say that, and then to not be, to know that our brains also work equally. Sometimes it's very hard for people when they have some bias, and that bias comes from what we see in the world, and the world has not yet fixed this issue. We're not of equal number in anything, right? So it's not our fault, is what I would. But we do I think, all of us want that equal seat at the table, and I think it doesn't matter what your hopes and dreams are. I still think even if you want to be a stay-at-home mom, you have hopes and dreams for that family, and they're not zero, and it's not like you want to be dictated to. So I think that's I think if you meet that, it'll be better for everybody.
And the only thing I want to add to that, first of all, so glad that you came today. Fun fact you may not know, he's in the Guinness Book of World Records. You need to ask him why. I know why. You will ask him why. So something very cool that I was very impressed with that we learned yesterday. I want to say one thing. I love, when I asked him what he does, he's a rapper, musician, he's like 12 different things. Like, wow, you're amazing. The number one thing is, as an entrepreneur, as anything, you have to believe in yourself. If you don't believe in yourself, nobody else will. And you have to have your own self-worth, right? So you've done a great job, and I'm so impressed with your father, who has helped you. Your agent, right? He's your agent and takes care of you. Oh yeah. He is amazing that he is there for you side by side, watching you grow, and we are looking forward to your keynote tomorrow. So if you're not knowing, he is our keynote speaker tomorrow and Sunday on closing ceremonies. But believe in yourself, you're doing that. You have beat odds that your father had mentioned, and we're so proud of you for what you've accomplished.
Note, this is a wrap. Thank you so much, everyone, for sticking around. Next up, we have another very amazing panel discussion. Thank you, ladies. That is planned starting right away. This is about wellness. This is about mind, body, soul wellness, targeted specifically towards women. So please stay and
do some deep dive into the 3 W's, because that's what the essence is. The first W, women. So, who we are. According to me, the best replication or the example of defining woman is Ma Durga. Ma Durga has got 10 hands, and we women are continuously multiplexing with our 10 hands, discharging multiple responsibilities. We just had this entrepreneurship panel where we found how we are balancing work with children, with family care and everything, and we are really doing it well. All women should be proud of it. So, women is the essence, is the fulcrum of any family, any society. And the life of a woman undergoes great changes, and as we touch 40, midlife, it's a restart for her, physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually. And today we are going to delve deeply into it. The second W is wellness, which is the center of our panel discussion. Wellness does not mean absence of illness. Wellness is actually presence of vitality, presence of life force energy. Understanding the body signals before the body starts shouting. That's what wellness is all about. So that's what we're going to discuss today. And the third W is wisdom. Wisdom is not what is written in books. Wisdom is what we get as our own experiences. And I'm really proud of you, proud to present my panel seated right here, who have gained all the wisdom through their amazing life. So I'd love to introduce each one of them. Seated right here is Asha Jain. Mrs. Jain, originally from India, spent 4 years in Japan before starting her career in the US. She currently serves at Walter Reed National Military Medical Center, providing care to the wounded soldiers, military families, and dignitaries. With deep expertise in diabetes education, she delivers group and individual counseling and leads presentations on nutrition, heart health, and disease management for patients, families, and healthcare staff. Mrs. Jain also mentors dietetic and medical interns. She spent a decade working in the geriatric care and served as a consultant with the National Council on Aging, Abbott Pharmaceuticals, and Joslin Diabetes Center. Known for her cultural sensitivity, she tailors her approach to each patient, emphasizing the connection between diet and physical activity.
Her mission is to empower individuals through education and practical strategies that promote long-term wellness. Seated next is Dr. Sunita Jain. Dr. Sunita Jain currently lives in Memphis. She is a physician specializing in physical medicine and rehabilitation and has been in practice for almost 30 years. She has been involved in physician leadership and is currently the chairperson of the Physician Wellness Committee for medical staff of approximately 3,500 physicians. She has been involved with JENA and YGA for the past 25 years, and that shows the clapping that we just got, and has been a speaker at past conventions addressing topics such as healthy living through diet, exercise, spirituality, comparative religions, how Jain you are, survey and results discussion, among others. Dr. Jain has been a Pathshala teacher in Memphis for more than 20 years. Her husband Manojji and their 3 children have also been very active in Pathshala as well as YGA and have served on the YGA board. Seated next is Ginny Doshi. Ginny Doshi is a dedicated community leader and passionate volunteer who serves as a court-appointed special advocate for abused and neglected children within the Illinois foster care system. Her commitment to advocacy and service reflects her deep compassion and desire to make a lasting impact in the lives of others. Professionally, Ginny is a licensed professional counselor and a certified life coach. She has extensive experience supporting clients as they navigate a wide range of challenges, including behavioral concerns, mental health issues, relationship difficulties, domestic violence, grief, and major life transitions. Ginny's counseling approach is rooted in empathy and collaboration. She specializes in helping clients discover innovative, practical solutions that align with their personal values and lifestyles. Her work fosters healthy relationships and promotes resilience through life's complexities. And next is Mayuri Bhandari. She is a professor of yoga and dance at Loyola Marymount University with a master's in yoga studies. A figure skating champion and the first South Asian to perform on Indian national TV. She's also an actress and storyteller, featured in Lincoln Lawyer, Hacks, Rebel, and more. Her voiceover credits include Spider-Man, Across the Spider-Verse, and Miss Marvel. She created and starred in her acclaimed one-woman show, The Anti-Yogi, at the 2024 Hollywood Fringe en route to Edinburgh Festival. Her poetry film, how do you pronounce it? It's Bindi? Oh, lovely. Her poetry film, Bindi, screened globally and at the UN Women's event in LA. Mayuri holds a BA in Dance and South Asian Studies from Buckley. Through art activism, she explores yoga's broader purpose and speaks on justice, women's empowerment and brown identity. She shares Bollywood Nights and yoga comedy content and volunteers with prison yoga and meditation in LA. So here I just presented my esteemed panelists who are truly ageless and spirit, timeless, ageless, and full of power and vitality. So we start with our panel discussion for today, and the topic is Ageless in Spirit, Women Embracing Wisdom, Embracing Wellness with Wisdom. So we'll start with the first round, which is focusing on rediscovering ourselves. As I just shared, a woman's life undergoes a whole cycle, and when she touches the midlife, it's actually a rediscovery for her. So, Mayuriji, my first question to you. Midlife is a time to self-reflect, rediscover, and orient yourself back. So, how can women in their 40s to 70s invest in themselves, whether it is a career comeback, creative pursuits, or personal growth?
Jai Jinendra, everyone. Is this on?
Jai Jinendra, everyone. Pleasure to meet you all, and thank you for having me on the panel. I don't know if I'm the right person to start off this panel, to be quite frank. But I will speak from what I've seen with my aunties, my moms, generations I've seen my grandmas before me. And I think that one thing that I've noticed, or I've heard them say in passing, whether it be in India or outside within our diaspora, is that, I've even heard them say, like, before marriage, my life was going like this, and then afterwards, it just kind of went down. And that made me really sad to hear, because they probably have dreams and expectations of what their life will be like after marriage, beyond being just a wife or being just a mother. And that identity of self is almost ingrained somewhat within our culture, that you have to be a selfless woman. You're an ideal, dutiful woman, and you serve everyone, the elders, the in-laws, the children. And so, what is that identity of self for a mother? And since I was very little, I was that annoying little child that would constantly ask my mom about her past and what she wanted and what she wished for. And she couldn't quite give me an answer very easily. It took a lot of time to kind of carve out from my mother what she sought and what she wanted, or what she really felt, about how she really felt about things. So I honestly think that my Bindi film started from there, because I was in the Yoga Studies Master's program studying the text, the Hatha Yoga Pratipika, from which the Bindu arises, and I was learning about the history of the Bindi, coming from the Bindu. And I asked my mom a lot of questions and learned about her history based on the dog killings that had happened in Jersey, and so on and so forth. So I say all of this to say that there is most definitely a journey for women once their children are out of the nest, if you're empty nesters, so to speak, that if anything, your life is just beginning. And what is it like for women of any age to kind of touch base with that dream or that vision that they have for themselves, or maybe something that they never thought they were possible or capable of doing, that this is the time to really tap into asking the questions of self of who am I, constantly to rediscovering that, and that I can pursue anything and everything, and let me ask the questions as if I were a child. It's almost like a rebirth, I would hope, especially for the aunties that I meet in my community. I come from Vegas, so that community in Vegas, like that group of aunties and my mom's friends, and I'm always like, of course we're going to talk about wellness, taking care of yourself, but even beyond that, wellness of spirit and wellness of the soul, even within this lifetime, what are the things that you may want to pursue? So I could keep going, I'll keep it there. Thanks.
May I add, just comment on what you had just mentioned, that many times us aunties we feel like, once we get married, like you mentioned, before marriage, your mom said her life was going like that, and then that went down. Many times we feel like once we get married, our self-autonomy is gone. We stop thinking for who we are, we stop thinking for what we want to do in life, but we just think like sacrifice is the ultimate goal, and like we sacrifice ourselves to raise our children, to take care of families, to build a social life, and we forget about ourselves. And I think that's really where you start discovering at a later phase, who am I, right? And you start questioning and you start asking those questions.
very beautifully expressed by Yuriji and Gineji. A woman's life is all about priorities. Nobody can set priority better than a woman. She knows what is required when. So when she had to focus on her children, she focused. When she had to focus on her parents, she focused. And when she realized that they're all sorted and settled, she starts focusing on herself. So the key to women's life is actually finding, the thin lines and understanding the priorities where they lie. So very beautifully shared. My next question is to Gineji, that relationship transforms, right? Especially at midlife. The longingness, the intimacy, the bonding, they all undergo a shift, a change. So can you please highlight and give us more insight on the couple dynamics, how it changes with time, especially when we touch our midlife?
Midlife. Many people call midlife as crisis, and it's only because that's the time when you're kind of thinking about physiological changes. You start getting glasses, you can't read that well. That's the first time you start noticing some small changes. But it's different for everyone, right? It is relational changes, it's psychological changes, your kids are out of the house. And for a couple, it's just like marriage. When you first started, you were going out, you were having fun, you were a lot more intimate, and then as soon as children come, you start thinking everything through your lens as a mom or as a parent, and stop becoming a couple. You become parents, and you forget the purpose of your marriage. And now that the kids are gone, you have to refine that, because now you have not had, you still live as a family, but now that buffer is gone, children are gone, now what do? You have to recreate that spark, recreate that intimacy. And for couples, sometimes it's hard. I have seen many of my friends go through difficult divorces right after their kids went to college, because that's when they start noticing more negative things about each other and not able to talk about it. And so keeping an open mind about, what do you want to do? How do we go from here, from being a full family to now just being the two of us? We have to refine ourselves. And we are no longer 25, right? We are aging, so things that I was able to do at 25, I'm not able to do now. And so we have to find creative, unique ways. And I call it more like, this is the time when people can go really buy exotic cars and, go on vacations and do really outrageous type of things. But it's also about transition, right? It's midlife transition. It's more you are thinking about, what do I pass on? What have I gained until now? Now the mortality is also setting in. You are thinking about, how many more years I have. So as a couple, if you can figure out how we can be together, what's the purpose of our marriage, what's the purpose of us being together? Is it about community service? Is it about we want to travel the world? What do we want to do? What do we stand for? What does our marriage stand for? And I think that's really important.
Thank you, Gineji. You actually answered to one of the questions which kept on, haunting me. I kept on reading in newspapers and other places, got to know that after being married for 25 years, 30 years, 35 years, they underwent divorce. And I always used to wonder that after spending so many years, why a divorce at this point of time? So very beautifully you gave insight on that, and actually it's all about perspective. If they can understand that yes, now we have taken care of all our responsibilities and we have enough resources, so now let's go together and enjoy and do whatever is there in our bucket list, then that can be really amazing. So it's actually all about perspective, and it's very important that we need to focus, because after spending 25 years, like, such bonded time, when you undergo this divorce, it's actually very hard. So,
hello. First of all, thank you, and I'm very humbled to be with all my expert panelists here. And so Shobhaji, she's not here, she's the one who reached out, and of course Hemalji and Dr. Sonalji, thank you very much. So I just wanted to chime in a little bit. The divorce she was talking about after 30 years, and I see that a lot more now, because what happens is after 25-30 years of our marriage, our thought processes and what we like to do, our passions, they all change over the years. A lot of friends and people have love marriages, they think, it will last forever. That doesn't happen too, just because they all change over the years. Either you go with them, or you go separate ways, rather than having everyday problems. The other thing what I see is sometimes, you let your partner do whatever they enjoy, their passion, and you do what you enjoy, your passion, and then you do some things together, so there is a harmony in the family. So that's how I see to carry on, so our life can continue. So in my case, I can tell you a perfect example. My husband, he's so much into Jaina. Before, so I used to always say, he's married to Jaina. Then he's married to Temple. So that doesn't mean he's not there for me or my children or my family. But he enjoys, that's his passion. And I enjoy my things, so he never interfered. And I enjoy reading, I enjoy exercise, I enjoy gardening, I enjoy going out hiking with my friends. He never stopped me with that. So, but at the same time, we do spend time together. We do go places together. So I don't feel like he's not giving me time or I'm not giving him time. So sometimes that works. And of course, we've been married for 43 years, so maybe 25 years, maybe something different, but I am way above that.
So in marriage, it's not my way or highway. It's always that we need to understand each other's requirements, give them space, and when we need to connect, and again give space. That's the beauty of marriage. Now, my next question to Sunita ji. As maybe started off about being empty nesters, so my question is that because a mother's life, once a mother, always a mother. So a mother's life centers around her children. Her schedule, her priorities, her requirements, everything, the focal point is her children. But there is a time when the children are off. And that creates a sudden vacuum in her life. So how can she deal with that vacuum, and how can she reflect upon herself in that time?
Thank you very much. So first of all, I want to thank you all for being here. I know we're competing with stand-up comedy, so I do appreciate you all being here. And I know when we were talking about this question, I kind of was thinking, and as I see these roles changes, I know we think about empty nesters or that being a dramatic part of our life, but I'm going to kind of take it back a little bit, because our roles actually change all through. And for my own experience, when I was a student, when I was in college or when I was in medical school, my focus was study. And that was it. Everything else was taken care of. Meals were provided, laundry was done, right? When we got married, that role changed. And for me, my marriage happened at the end of medical school. So as I was newly married, I was also starting my residency. And each in and of itself, from my perspective, is all encompassing. So right from that stage, I had to now figure out how am I going to manage these two. And when we got married, I first lived in a joint family. So again, another aspect to that whole role that had to be adjusted, let's say. then when we became parents, and our oldest daughter is out here in the audience, when we became parents, that's another piece that came in. So at each stage, it required modifications, and it was not, you know, what worked at stage 1 was not going to work at stage 3. After parenthood, we had 3 children. You know, once our kids were ready to go out of the house, we had parents that we were taking care of. So it's, you know, for me personally, it wasn't that one defining moment where I had to say, oh my God, my life has changed, now what? So in the course of this timeline, I would say some of the things that were really helpful for me, and you know, some of it I learned earlier, some of it took some tears and hard work and later learned. But some of the things that helped me most, one was adaptability. That no matter what my role was, professionally, personally, I had to be able to be flexible and adapt and figure out what was going to work best for me in that particular scenario. The other thing really big was my attitude. You know, I could say, that's it, my plate is full, I'm not going there anymore. Or I can say, this is where I am. What do I have control over? And what do I have to let go? And this is the village part, you know, who can come in and help me managing some of those things? We talk a lot about resilience, or we should talk more about resilience actually. And both personally and professionally, as you mentioned, you know, I work with, I'm a chairman of the wellness committee for physicians for our hospital, and we have 3,500 physicians. And that's a word that comes up a lot. And a lot of people, when I first meet them, don't know what resilience is. They hear it a lot. And so I kind of give them my version. And for me, it is physical, mental, emotional stability. Physical, mental, emotional stability that requires nurturing and development actively. Resilience doesn't, you're not born with it, you don't come to it. You have to actually work at it. And to do that means you have to invest in yourself. So through this whole timeline, I think that's what's really helped me, is figuring out what my role, my perspective of the role is. Society will tell you, you are supposed to do this, and that's when you first have to say, maybe not. Find your role, what you can control, where your flexibility is, and what can you accomplish at the end. As I learned, you know, when we talk about control, you can only control one person. I can't control my husband, I can't control my kids. I can control one person, and that's me. However, there's a term we've learned, you may be the only person you can control, but your circle of influence is much wider. So you lean on that circle. And that could be, you know, that I have found is where that village philosophy comes in, and that is really what helps you manage this timeline, manage the changing roles, and be happy and confident in what you're doing, and pat yourself when you accomplish what you want.
Very well said. It's all about perspective, how we look at it, empty glass or full glass, empty nesters or a time for a new opportunity. It's what we look at it, right? Now, my next question to Asha ji. When we talk about 40s, one thing that comes bang on is menopause. That's something which is very hard-hitting for women because it changes your entire perspective, physical, mental, emotional, like, you know, it's a big, big shift for her. So how, like, you know, she can handle with this menopausal challenge, if you can guide us on that.
As we age, as we age, menopause comes somewhere around 45 to 55. And these we understand it's a hormonal changes. So all people, when I came to this country, people used to talk about, oh, I opened the freezer and stand there. And I just didn't understand this because I never heard anything like that in India. So 30 years ago, I was just giving a class on menopause. And so I said, okay, I don't know what to talk about it. So when I was in India, I used to ask my mom, I said, did you ever go through menopause? What happened? She said, kuch nahi, humne to kuch nahi kiya. And then I asked my aunts and other cousins, and they said, हमने भी कुछ नहीं किया, इंडिया में तो सबको होता है, बेटा इंडिया में क्या है, तो सभी को होना चाहिए. So we all know it's a natural phenomena, that's a part of our life cycle, and we go through these hormonal changes. But some people feel the changes and the symptoms very strong, and others don't. So the compassion and empathy for me is basically, instead of saying, oh, ye to hota hai, forget it. But be empathetic to them. Yes, it happens, but how can you help? There's a help, you can seek some help. There are a lot of treatments too for some of these hot flashes, night sweats, and that contributes to a lot of other things. These changes in hormone, the estrogen is going down, progesterone is going down, and because of that, and it's not just one thing happening, the only thing is reproduction, but because it's end of menstrual cycle, but the changes that takes place is slowly the mood swings, the depression, sometimes weight gain, or all of a sudden your lipid profile goes haywire, and you're thinking that my cholesterol hamesha acha hai, all of a sudden kya ho gaya? Blood pressure, all these things are all interrelated with hormone changes. So what I tell most of the people, as you age 35 and 40, don't wait until menopause. Start making some of the changes. Pay attention to your body. Put yourself on the front burner. Because oftentimes what happens is we want to, as a wife, we want to take care of husband. As a mother, we want to take care of children. And I had the same issue. My kids were gone. I didn't have the luxury of empty nesters. So my in-laws came. So which is fine. Again, we are used to all these things. So again, I feel blessed that I'm able to do that. But at the same time, if we don't take care of ourselves, all the things, get your all medical checkups, make sure your lipid profile, make sure your A1C, make sure your thyroid panel, all these things baseline you have it and keep getting checked periodically. Because what I have noticed is as we age around like 40s, people who don't like certain things, they seem to start liking and relishing. I'll tell you a perfect example. I hated desserts. And my husband loves desserts. Every time he would ask, and I would say no. But as I was heading to 40s, I said, okay, thoda sa le do. And then I started relishing. So I'll take small piece and I enjoy it. And then I realized why people start gaining weight around 40. I'm just saying, around 40 mera wazan बढ़ जाता है, मालूम नहीं क्या होगा. This is the reason.
And also when kids are not home, you work less. You don't do 4 laundries and 5 cookies. So it all you think why you're getting weight. But
and around 40s and 45, what happens? Sometimes lots of aches and pains, and either it's arthritis. Sometimes we have family history of these things. So naturally, exercise goes down. So I started paying attention. I used to work in nursing homes, and I used to come and talk loud, and my kids would say, "Mom, we can hear." And I'm like, "Am I talking that loud?" Because you forget. So this is what happens, when you work with people, older people, that's how you start acting like. And I never used to do exercise in those days because I thought, well, bachcho ke saath bhaaga dodi ho rahi hai, that's plenty for me. But at 40, I said, people say, yahan to over the hill parties karte hain, maine kaha, meri to life ab begin ho rahi hai. I feel confident, I feel I can navigate better in this society, I can feel financially, I feel more stronger. Meri to life ab shuru ho rahi hai. So how can people say over the hill? So I didn't get that thing like about over the hill parties. आजकल तो कोई सुनता ही नहीं है over the hill. But so what I started doing that time, I used to tell all my colleagues, my friends, and my patients that you need to focus on exercise. And I'm a big promoter of exercise.